Hello, welcome to the final part of our box game. You made it to the very last video of this box game. So far, we have built all the heavy logic needed for this game. So in this video, we are going to focus on just adding finishing touch to the game. We are going to add a start button to start the game. We are going to add a game over screen, and of course we are going to add sound effects to make our game look and feel professional. Let's dive in right away. Alright, so as you can see, I've loaded the game into Scratch and I expect it to do yours. I hope by now you should know you are supposed to save after every changes so that you can load the project back in when you want to continue working on it. So I hope you know that by now, so I'm not going to bother about that. So the way we are going to approach this is that we are going to create the assets we need, and then we are going to add the logic. Let's bring in two assets. We are going to need two buttons, but I'm going to take just one button and duplicate it. I'm going to duplicate this and I'm going to rename it so it's clear. So we are going to call one start button and we are going to call the other game over. Let's just say game over. So now let's customize this. So let's start with the start button. I'll drag it into the middle. First, I want to scale the size of both buttons, 150, and also we're going to do 150 for this. Okay, let's go to costume and I'm going to delete this. I only want this one. I'm going to take my text tool and type in start. Now I'm going to scale the text a bit. Let's scale it and try to put it in the middle, so I think right here. And then we need to change the color. So I want white. Now to get white, it's very simple. All we need to do is to reduce saturation to 0 and make sure brightness is at 100, and we are going to get white. So I think I'm going to scale the text a bit. Alright, so we can leave it right here, big size. Okay, so now let's move to game over. For game over, I'm going to delete this also, and then I'm going to delete the border around it, which is a shape, but I'm going to delete it. And then let's stretch this to increase the width. Yeah, so I think this is good. But now I need to change this to white. So make sure brightness is at 100 and then take saturation down to 0. And now let's take our text tool, but I want to change the color to red. So I'm going to take saturation back up to 100 and it's already at red. So I'm going to type and say game over. Now let's align this properly. Of course, I want to scale the text so it looks bigger. Yeah, so I think this is good. Now let's go back and I want to drag this, yeah, right here to the middle. So the first thing we want to do is that we want to make sure when flag click is not starting the game. We want this button to be starting the game. Let me hide the game over button for now. To do that, we are going to go to the start button. Let's go to events and let's drag in when sprite is clicked. So when the sprite, which is this button, is clicked, we are going to broadcast an event that says start game. So start game, and then we are going to receive this event from other sprites. So I'm going to detach this and remove all the when flag click and want to replace this with start game. I'm going to quickly do it for all sprites that have when flag clicked. Let's say start game. Want to do it right here. Start game, and let me look if we are using it somewhere else. We're also using it right here in this cat sprite. So we're going to detach it and let's use start game. Great. So now we can now use this start button to start our game. So if I click, the game starts. But now, after clicking the start button, we want it to go away. So let's just come to the start button sprite and let's say hide. Immediately we broadcast start game. So this is going to hide it. If I click start, it hides. So now when we fail, we want to show the game over button. We already have an event for that, because if you look right here, we are calling it the set game. So let's come to game over and let's go to event. Then let's say when I receive the set game, then we want to show the game over button. So let's say show. So now I'm going to show the start button. So if I fail, it's going to show game over button. But now we also want to look for a way to show the start button again and hide the game over button. So the way we are going to handle that we are going to add a when sprite is clicked event to the game over button. Let's go to events and let's take when the sprite is clicked. When the sprite is clicked, we are going to broadcast an event that says show start to show the start button. Let's drag broadcast and let's say show start to show start, and then let's come to the start button and let's say when I receive show start, let's change this to show start. Go to looks and then we say show. So if I click here, it's going to show the start button, but we also want to hide the game over button. So right here, after broadcasting show start, we want to add hide. So it hide fit, show the start button, and then we start the game. But when we fail, we want to hide the cat sprite and the ladybug sprite, right? So the way we are going to do that is that right here when we are resetting the game, so right here when we are resetting the game, when we are receiving reset game, for the ladybug, we are going to say hide. Then we are going to use this particular block of code here and say show at the top before the forever loop. So when it receives start game, it's going to show the ladybug before creating a clone. Now let's go to the cat. We want to say hide. Let's do hide before broadcasting reset game, or let's hide it just after resetting the game. Whichever one will work. So I'm going to put show at the top here. So when we start the game, we want to show it back. Let's do game over start. So when we fail, it hides everything. We click, we get start, and it shows it. Alright. So the next thing we want to do is that we want to add sound to this. We want to add sound. So we're going to do 3 sounds. We're going to do a sound when the ladybug touches the cat. And we're going to do a sound for when these buttons are clicked. Let's start with the buttons. So when this sprite is clicked, we are going to go to sound. Let's bring in this sound. Let's say play pop until dawn. So pop is a very short sound, so we can do until dawn. So if let's put it in game over, right? When the sprite is clicked, play pop until dawn. So get pop. Yeah. All right, let's go to the cat, because if you look this where we are adding the collision detection logic. Right here we're saying if ladybug is touching the cat, or if the cat is touching the ladybug, then what do we want to do? We are going to add a bite sound. So if I bring in my sound, let's say play until dawn. Let's go to sound and bring in the sound we want, because we don't want this meow cat sound. We don't want that. Let's go to choose a sound and let's search for bite. Let's take this bite sound. And now let's go back to code and let's change it to bite. So now if I click, it tosses the cat to get the bite sound and the game is over. But right now we want to add a constant sound that will be playing in the background. To do that, I can put it anywhere, but I chose to put it in the start button because I think it makes sense for the sound to just start. Of course, it's going to start immediately we click the start button. And we also have 3 blocks of code here. So it makes a lot of sense to just put it here, because if you look here, we have tons of code right here, and we also have quite some code right here. So let's put it on the start button. So I'm going to go to sound again, and we need the pop sound, right? So we're going to choose a sound. Let's add a second sound. Let's go to loop, and there's this nice video game sound you can use. So if you place your mouse cursor on play button, we're going to take the sound. I'm going to leave this one. It seems more befitting to the purpose of our game, kind of like a Vivian soundtrack. So let's choose this, and let's make it softer, and then let's go to code. So I'm going to take when I receive start game. Let's go to event and say when I receive start game. We're now going to say we need a loop. Let's go to control and take a forever loop, and then we want to play this until dawn. Let's go to sound. We're going to play the video game sound until dawn. So if I click game over a cat, to get the bright sound, and we fail. So we have successfully completed our game, and in the next video we are going to start talking about extensions. We are going to start talking about extensions, this block right here, and what we can use them to do. So stay tuned so you don't miss the next video. Okay, now before you go, I want to remind you of something very important to me. If you have been watching this channel for a while and you like our content, please like and share this video with your friends, and I'm going to see you in the next video. And don't forget to play your game. Let's play it one more time before I go. Oh, and bye.